The land of coffee beans.
The only African country that was never colonized by European powers.
The cradle of humanity.
The inspiration for Drake's East African Girl.
The place where they eat the flat sour bread that nobody knows the name of.
One of the fastest growing economies on the African continent.
This narrative of the all-supreme,
never failing,
Ethiopia rising only really tells one story.
And that story does not represent a majority of Ethiopia's population.
In fact, the majority of Ethiopia's population, the Oromo, are not represented in many parts of Ethiopia's history.
are not represented now.
and as things stand, won't be represented in the future.
Weeks ago, protests broke out across Ethiopia's Oromia region. Oromia was a land colonized by Abyssinian settlers over 100 years ago with the help of European powers, merging many indigenous lands together and calling it Ethiopia.
So, why are students protesting?
Because the Ethiopian government has reintroduced a plan to expand the capital city, known to the world as Addis Ababa.
But known to the indigenous owners of the land,
The Oromo as Finfinne.
Over the last 10 years, Oromos have lost 2 million hectares of land.
And this plan to expand the capital city will lead to the displacement of over 2 million more Oromo farmers.
The historical expansion of Addis Ababa has already seen several Oromo clans disappear.
And this is only going to continue if nothing's done.
And as a result of this very real threat of economic and cultural genocide,
University students
High school students
and primary school students have made up a majority of those leading protests across the country,
Oromo athletes,
farmers,
and the residents of the towns are threat.
have joined this call for justice.
but nobody's listening.
especially the Ethiopian government.
peaceful protesters are being killed, beaten and arrested.
Routinely,
Systematically.
And this is an all too familiar story. In May last year, similar demonstrations erupted, again led by peaceful student protesters,
Dozens were killed, many more were injured.
and hundreds were arrested,
Some are still behind bars.
without being charged or given the right to a fair trial.
and it's happening again.
But this time,
The call is louder.
Clearer.
And more powerful than ever.
students are chanting messages declaring that if their ancestral land is taken away from them, then they really have nothing left to lose.
So what do we know for sure?
We know if there's anything that's going to make these Ethiopian leaders reconsider its violent dissent against these students,
It's collective, global dissent.
We are well aware that making this video is not going to stop the Ethiopian government from moving forward with these land grabs.
But maybe, just maybe, if they know the world is watching.
They'll think twice before gunning down high school students for exercising their basic human rights.
So get on Twitter using the hashtag Oromo Protests.
And help us put pressure on the BBC,
Reuters, Associated Press, Al Jazeera and CNN to help amplify the voices of East Africa's largest ethnic population.
as they call for justice.
I stand with Oromo Protests.
I stand
With
with
the Oromo protests.
I stand with the Oromo protests.
I stand with the Oromo protests.
Do you?